Hello, I'm Sarah Lister from Sheffield Digital, and today I'm talking to Rich Davies, who is the Business Development Manager at Highlander Computing Solutions. What are your responsibilities as Business Development Manager?
Hello, everybody, by the way. So, my primary responsibilities as a Business Development Manager are literally to go out and talk about Highlander. Particularly, I was recruited to pick up in the Sheffield City Region, which is kind of, I suppose, we're based in Sheffield, so that works. But it's just to go out there and really talk about Highlander, not necessarily sell it as such. It's just to talk about, and get the, the kind of, I suppose, what we are as a business out there, our people, our culture, etc.
How did you get into this type of work?
So I suppose my journey started about this side of kind of things. I worked at printers for quite a while, and I was fairly, I suppose, didn't get involved in the Sheffield City Region at all. But I left that printers to go and work at Sheffield Chamber for 18 months. And I suppose that really opened my eyes to kind of the region, etc. And whilst I was there, I set up my own business. Left there to run that business for 3 years, but ultimately, I needed the, I suppose, the security of a full-time job, because running your own business was a big learning curve, a fantastic learning curve, like going back to well, not going back. I've never been to university, but going to university for a spell. So, and then I came out and got into the IT side of things. Worked for an IT company in Sheffield, and I've been at Highlander now about 5 months.
And what are the main skills in your role?
So I suppose my role, because it is a very much I suppose, profile raising, the best way to describe what I do, it is literally just getting out and about and networking, meeting people, pitching. I suppose pitching is probably not the right word, but talking I think is a better word than pitching, because it's not a pitch. It's just me talking about what I do and who for, and kind of my experience at Highlander. So yeah, I suppose the main skill are really just being a people person, getting out and talking and really kind of getting out and just meeting lots of different people from all different kind of sides of business.
What types of challenges do you come across?
Challenge-wise, I think it's just having enough hours in the day at times, because not all the kind of the networking that I go out about on is 9 to 5. There's plenty that starts early in the morning. There's plenty that finishes outside your 9 to 5. So you've got to be flexible with it, without a doubt. It's definitely not a 9 to 5 job. So I suppose that's the biggest challenge. And then literally once I've got to not just go out on these events, I've got to actually literally physically do some work as well in between. But it is I suppose I'm quite lucky in the respect that I worked really hard to grow a network, and now can actually go out and about and talk to people, and just keep building relationships. So I think that's my main challenge, is the hours in the day.
Are there any tools, resources, or training that you found particularly useful, even if that's also before taking on your current role?
Yeah, I think for me, the Chamber has been a massive kind of resource for me. Always has been since I went there. It really opened my eyes and definitely changed my career to what I wanted to do in giving something back to Sheffield, where I'm from. Yeah, the amount of resource they've got, and they're constantly evolving, to kind of suit the businesses that are in the Sheffield City Region. So creating digital is quite big now, and obviously with you guys, Sheffield Digital, it fits in with that. The Chamber have been a real big kind of resource, whether it be for networking, whether it be for business kind of advice style things that they can put you in touch with people. So they're my, I'll always shout loud about the Chamber. So they've been my biggest resource, I think, that I utilise, and still to this day probably speak to them, multiple people at the Chamber multiple times a week.
How was it that you became involved with the Chamber?
So literally, yeah. So I was working at a printers, and I've been there 8 years, and kind of didn't feel I was getting anything Sheffield in my in my job, which I'd got a little bit. I was doing some volunteering that meant I got from Sheffield, some local non-league football clubs that I was getting Sheffield in that setting in my private life, but I wasn't in my work life. So when I decided I was going to leave the printers, it was time for me to get something in Sheffield, and I actively looked at the chamber. And at that point, luckily enough, they were looking for somebody as an account manager, and I think within 3 weeks of making my next decision, I'd end the interview, got offered the job, and the rest is kind of history. So yeah, that's why I ended up at Chamber, and fantastic set of people, and definitely an evolving animal these days from what they've been known as in the past.
And what do you value most about working for Highlander?
I think our core values really sit right with me. So we're very much a people business, very much about family, and this all comes from the top, from the MD, Steve Brown. Really believes in that, really pushes that, outwardly and inwardly within the business. So, but having experienced that, and having been here 5 months, you actually experience that people, that the business is about the people and the family feel every single day, and that's really the culture here is as good as I've kind of probably experienced in my whole career, and really feels like you could make this job your forever job if that exists in life. But so far so good, and it's hopefully just not a honeymoon period. It's but it's you can say all those things, but when they're delivering as well, that's the actual difference.
And how do you think people can start taking steps towards becoming a business development manager or something similar to your role?
I think it's just about starting to build a network, whether that be online on something like LinkedIn, or you can use the other social platforms, but LinkedIn obviously the business one. But it's just start to build your network, start getting involved in some of the events that there's so many great events out there. Some that are actually, if you're a chamber member, free through chamber, some through other organised. I know I'm picking on the chamber all the time here. It's obviously quite close to my heart, but there's lots of networking in Sheffield and the Sheffield City Region. That it's free to get along to at times. Business Sheffield have been really good in the past when they could do events as part of the council, and 3D Connect is another one that I do with Andy Hanselman and Joe White. That's really good kind of, not so networking. That's more of a learning, but you are building your kind of relationships, your network with people. So that's the biggest thing I could say. Get out there, just get out there, and if you talk enough about what you do, and I clearly do on LinkedIn because everybody sees me on there. I get recognised from at times, which is a little bit weird, but that's through a lot of kind of hard work of getting out there and getting your face around, so people do kind of whatever industry you're in as a BDM, they'll start to recognise you for that service.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Rich.
Cool, not a problem at all.